The reason why that is such an abomination is because of culture. So we would also need to address that from a cultural point of view, so that it's not disrespectful, and to avoid me coming back when I'm 19 and pregnant because you are not there when I try to tell you about Sibusiso. That's also something to look at. Culture.
True.
It's also part of the reason why a lot of things are different, or teenage Black kids are socialized differently from white teenage kids. Culture.
So then, can I be devil's advocate here for a bit? Then what's the point? If you know your cultural values are your cultural values, why bringing in spiritual values at the same time if it doesn't align with that principle of courting, in a sense? You know what I mean? What's the point? You have to pick one in one way or another. Or am I looking at it wrong?
No, I wouldn't say you're looking at it in the wrong way, but it's been the age-old debate for the longest time, trying to balance, tradition / culture with, religion, right? And this goes on like over and over and over. Like people try and find a balance between, okay, this is what we do at home, this is what our traditions are, this is what I've been taught by my grandfather, my mom, my grandmother, all these people. But at the same time, these are the religious teachings that we've had at home. And my parents have been able to balance these two sides of their personality and their work. So what stops me from balancing these two sides of myself as well, right? And I think nowadays people are finding that it's becoming harder again to try and find that balance between like tradition and culture with, some form of religion, whether it's Christianity or, Islam or whatever it may be. But people are finding it harder to balance two sides, right? And that's the thing, that, we're alluding to that. It's difficult, right? Martin, you've spoken about courting in the church, and in theory, brilliant, that works. But then there's so much going on nowadays that it's really difficult, right? It's really, really difficult. Having that box, that insulation would help you. But what if I'm not necessarily interested in the people that I see at church every day? Maybe I'm more interested in other people from school, or, people that I saw on Google, or people that I saw on Instagram, whatever it is, maybe I'm more keen to interact with those people. So now, how does the church address that? How is the church addressing social media? How is the church addressing interactions at school? How is the church addressing what we see when we do a Google search, So also a question of evolution. How is the church evolving to these things, We can create this fence of safety, but is it actually to the benefit of that person? Are we really, really, really benefiting that person by keeping that insulation, right? So, yeah, again, heavy question.
To add on to what you just said, is growing up in the church now is different from growing up in the church 30 years ago or 20 years ago. Now you've got all these groups. You've got liberals, you've got conservative people, then you have these ones who are alphabet crew people, then you've got dissected down, you've got another group of people who believe in that. At the end of the day, everybody goes back to church. But these things or these divisions create a plethora of different ideologies, whether they've been there already or they're just being created as we go. You get what I'm saying? It's like basic, and please, before anyone comes at me, the S word, we look at the word submission, right? And this is context to dating. Yes, I know it only pertains when you are married. Fine, great. You understand? However, the build up to that. So if I go, let's say I'm a young 19-year-old Christian young man who's looking for somebody to be with long term, how do I know that she's got the qualities, be capable to be I'm not going to use submission, cooperative person. Let's use cooperative. I know Nolo hates that word, cooperative person. so that's it's just, and I'm not saying, roll over and play dead for me. I'm saying basic things, basic surface level things. How do I know that before I get to you, I give you the ring on the finger for the next 20 years or whatever the case? How do I know that I'm going to get these characteristics from you? I'm just saying.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. Can I respond to that? And if I'm lucky enough, Nolo will back me 100% on this. 100%.
Go for it.
Let me go for it. It is not for us as men to determine before we go into a relationship whether a woman will be submissive or not. It's for us to be the men we're supposed to be, and the submission will naturally flow out of her.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Preach.
It'll naturally flow.